Welcome, everyone, to Life Beyond 6 Feet. I'm Damien from RKB Paranormal, and this is the season 2 finale of the show. And I want to go ahead and apologize to everybody. I have missed a few episodes. I planned on having way more episodes this season, but in the midst of moving and buying a house and all that fun stuff, I've missed a few episodes. So this is actually the season finale. We were cut short a few episodes, but it's okay because I will be back for season 3. And this is the Paranormal Roundtable, and this is the all podcast Paranormal Roundtable. So with me, I have joining me Steve and Megan from For the Booze Podcast, Gil from the Black Cat Report.
Hello.
Jordan Cline from Fireside Paranormal Podcast, and Miss Kristen Amanda from the Paranorm Girl Podcast. Guys and gals, welcome to the Roundtable.
Thank you so much, Damien.
All right. So, like I always do, I'm just going to dive right into this thing. And Jordan, you're on my screen right now, so you are going to be the first one that gets to answer.
Well, you're welcome for that.
In your opinion, what causes the haunting?
Oh, that is so deep. Gosh, like how much time do I have? Has my clock already started?
You're on the clock, sir.
Okay. What causes it? Man. Okay, so there's so much that goes into this, Damien. I mean, I'm a firm believer that the majority of what we experience, and unpopular opinion maybe, but it's residual. I don't think there's as many intelligent hauntings out there as we like to think. We just happen to be there at the right place at the right time.
Right.
And not all residual hauntings are a result of death. Right. Okay. You can have a location that there was just high amounts of emotion and energy and things like that there, like a prison, let's say, you know, somebody could be in a cell crying and upset every single night, gets released. The next guy comes in and is like, oh my gosh, this place is haunted. I hear a guy crying in my cell at night when I'm asleep.
Right.
You know, he's down in Florida, like sipping on a little umbrella drink. Right. So I think a lot of that plays into it. You know, I am an ordained minister. I am a church boy. So I do believe faith gets into there as well.
Right.
There are some dark things out there. I don't know what everybody's views are on the panel. I know some of them, but you know, if it's a dark and mysterious thing, I mean, the devil's job is to steal, kill, and destroy. Right. So cause confusion. There's a lot of things out there that could cause confusion and cause people to stray away from the Lord. So I think that's part of it too.
All right, that's a really good answer, man. So we're going to go with Megan. What is your thought on this?
I think a lot of it has to do with the land and what came before it and what energies previous lives leave behind. And I think people who die closer and closer to our time feed off of that. And it causes underlying spirits that may not be at rest to stay. And I also believe a lot with Jordan that a lot of it is more residual hauntings than there are, you know, very intelligent hauntings. And you may come across some, yes, absolutely. But I agree with him. Right place, right time for a lot of it.
Right. Okay. Kristen, what about you?
You know, I think it's a lot of different things that are feeding into the same. We perceive it in one way, so we think it's one thing. But I think there's a lot of different things happening here, such as residual, such as intelligent hauntings. I think that goes into it. But there's another thought, and I think it goes along with a little bit what Jordan was saying. And it's a theory I'm working on, so I won't get too deeply into it. But I think that we have a lot more to do with what we are seeing and perceiving. Like not to say that we are the cause of it, but I think we are playing a part in these manifestations that we are seeing.
Right. I mean, that makes pretty good sense too. So, So Steve, we're going to go with you, man. What do you think?
Well, first, I think you need to preheat your oven to 350. No, I'm just kidding. What I believe, I have a couple. I see. I bounce back and forth. I think a lot of it I think it does have to do with the way you die, because if we base it on like emotional stuff, like the fear and pain or whatever, just the passing in general, I believe a lot of it is tied to emotional stuff. But I also kind of toy around with this idea of like, maybe a haunting's not a haunting in the way we think about it. Damien, you might have been in the Twitter space when I was talking about this, but I have this like thing where like I look at it like what if we're seeing two different shadows of people from a different time, almost like a rip in time, right? So what we perceive as a ghost sees us in their timeline and perceives us as a ghost,
Right.
so it's just like this back and forth thing throughout time. Other than that, I don't know what causes it. I would love to know. I mean,
Right.
everybody could have every theory they ever wanted, but I don't think we're ever really gonna know. Not now, not anytime soon, anyways. But if I had to guess, I would say mostly emotional ties.
Right. All right. So Gil, what about you, man? What do you think about that?
Student loan debt, I think, is the main reason. God, this is not my specialty, so I'm starting off on a great foot right now, out of my wheelhouse. But I really love what Kristen was saying, and then I guess it kind of spurred some thoughts around, I guess just the thoughts and beliefs around there not being a separation between time and space, right? Like everything being interconnected, and this goes back to Andrew. Is that right? Was it Andrew?
Jordan.
So bad with names. I'm trying to read everybody's like Zoom name on the screen and nobody like, yeah. So I had a really good friend, Andrew, who was talking about this one time. No, I don't know what to add to that. It could be a lot of things and it could be nothing. It could be the human being just working as an antenna, picking up things again across time and space, or it could be something that's actually there. I guess for me, I'm always hesitant to talk about like intense trauma in an area and say that that's the cause of something. It's kind of like when folks say like, oh, that's built on an Indian burial ground.
Mhm.
All of North America is built on an Indian burial ground.
Right.
Like there are thousands of years of generations of people who have lived and died here.
Right.
So I don't know if that qualifies it, but yeah, I guess I don't know.
wait. Well, all five of you
Ask me about aliens.
well, all five of you do make valid points, and I'm kind of in a mix between kind of all of you. It's in the end, you really don't know. So, and until we're in that position, and then we're going to be dead, and we're not going to really know that we're dead. So, who knows? All right, this kind of dives into the religious aspect of it. So, Jordan, we're going to start with you. Should paranormal investigators cross over spirits, or should that be left to someone in the religious field?
So again, I'm gonna have a whole lot of unpopular opinions with folks. So sorry, not sorry. But if you think that you're crossing over spirits, does that mean you're stronger than, like, I don't know, God? Like, what is the point? What do you think you're doing that Jesus is not doing?
Right.
He needs you, right? Bill down the street with 3 teeth is the guy that's going to be like the Almighty's calling him because he can't do it himself. He needs, So sorry if you just walked into that one, guys.
That's fair.
No, you're good. You're good. Kristen, what do you think? Oh, you're still talking. Oh, sorry. I thought you stopped.
No, you're good. Go ahead, Kristen.
I personally do think it is okay. Because I feel like first of all, I don't necessarily come from a religious standpoint. That's not my foundation. That's not my background. While I don't believe in a place as heaven and a place as hell, I do believe at this point in time in an afterlife. And I think it's we're a lot more energetically aligned and even than we would perceive from a theological standpoint. So coming from that standpoint, I don't want to get myself in trouble, but coming from that standpoint, I think if you are your heart is in the right place. Your energy is in the right place. You're doing it out of love. You're trying to help your fellow energetic being who maybe is stuck, which I don't like to say that because I don't necessarily believe that anybody can be stuck. I think you stick yourself, and you have the power to cross yourself over. But I think understanding it's a little difficult when you're in that space. Maybe there might be a reason that you're still attached, or you feel like you're stuck, or you don't know a way out. But at the end of the day, I think you have the ability to do that for yourself. And yes, if a fellow human being, a living one coming from a good place, wants to help you get there, I think it's fine.
All right. So, Gil, what about you, man?
Yes. It's a tough one. So, God gave us free will, right? Or at least like under the Christian God. But at the same time, anytime things happen, we say it's a part of God's plan. So that's always the teeter-totter, right? I could see someone making the argument around them going and releasing a spirit as that was them acting in God's will, right? So why is that separate? Somebody goes and saves a kid from being hit by a car, and it's like, well, do you really think God was acting through so? No. Like we would say that we're lucky, that we're grateful, that we're this, that we're that, and there's a million variables that built up towards that situation, right? So it could go either way. Either we got complete free will, and yes, we're out here solo, nothing we do is actually what God forced us to do, or we're acting with moments of intervention. But I don't know. I'm atheist, so that's where I'm at.
All right, Steve, what about you, dude?
Hold on. That was a great end. I am too. I'm not a very religious person, but I kind of agree with a little bit from what everybody said. Like, I don't feel like we deserve to think that we would have the power to cross somebody over. And in the same aspect of saying that, like what Jordan said, like, are we to assume that if that was possible, we're more powerful than whatever comes after us? It's, I don't know. I never looked at things like, we're not investigators or anything, right? We do a podcast where we talk about haunted locations and how we feel at the end. And I guess the concept of helping a spirit cross to the other side has never really crossed my mind, because this is something we don't really discuss very much, I guess.
Yeah.
But I would have to say that if it was a possibility, I don't think we could actually do it. I don't think any of us could actually do it. I think once you're over there, you chose to stay, or something kept you here, but that's on your end. That has nothing to do with our end. Like maybe you could help a spirit along somewhere, maybe in something that they're trying to achieve. I'm not sure, but I just don't think we as people would have the power to make that happen.
Right. So what do you think, Megan?
I do come from a religious background. However, I have strayed over the years. But I think that like just how with people in general vibe with other living people, their energies, some people mix, some people don't. And I think different people being on an investigation and maybe, having, like Kristen said, that good intention, that, just that energy that they carry could help them along. But like Steven said, like, I don't think anybody could have the power to fully 100% do that. But I think you could assist them in doing it. And that's only if your energies match.
I would assist you. I just want you to know that I would help you.
Thank you.
I know you're going to haunt me if you die first. So I will.
Of course.
And again, I kind of agree kind of with all of you. I'm not really a religious person either, but me personally, I would leave it to a religious person. If somebody said, "Hey, can you help us cross this person over?" I'm like, "No, but here, let me give you this contact information of somebody I know that probably would be more helpful than I could be." So I'd rather leave it to the people that know what they're doing, in my opinion. So, all right, Gil, we're going to kind of dip in your neck of the woods for a minute. Bigfoot, is he real? Yes or no? And explain your answer.
Yes.
Why do you think that?
Life is the reason why. No, so So we had Scott Tompkins on the show quite a number of times. He's incredibly talented programmer and mapper. He works for a bunch of big companies, travels around, maps things out. That's his job. And he never gave two shits about Bigfoot, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he'd be sent out by like oil and gas companies to places out in the middle of nowhere to survey land and do, GIS, like take geographical data. And over again, in different parts all throughout North America, people would start telling him the same stories. They would say things like, hey, so saw you were going to go head up the hill there today. You're going to want to watch out for that neck of the woods over there. We got kind of a thing that hangs out there. Or, like, well, they call it Sasquatch and blah, blah, blah. Like, this just started coming up, and it'd be with families that lived out in the absolute middle of nowhere. So eventually this inspired him to start mapping this information. I mean, that's his job. He started mapping it all out, started collecting reports, and lo and behold, you get enough data together, patterns start to form, right? Actual real patterns, not just one-off sightings. And the proof's in the pudding. That's that's like all there is to it. That and the fact that, for instance, North America is the only continent, right? Basically, if you're looking at latitude around the planet, it's the only continent that doesn't have apes. Right? We should have apes. And all of the folks that lived here before Europeans came said there were great apes, said there were things that looked at it. And it'd be a totem pole with, every other animal represented on the totem pole is 100% real. But then there's Bigfoot. Right? And so I don't know. As a European guy, I'm not really into questioning what native folks already discovered. I guess that's my take on things.
All right. So, Megan, what about you?
Careful what you say.
I do think Bigfoot exists. I do. I think that there is such mystery and lore behind it all because I think that's the way Bigfoots want it to be. I think they're just
Bigfoot's out here, right? Like
in the shadow
narrative,
and they just want to be left alone.
Hey, that could be.
Who are you?
Miss Kristen Amanda, what do you think, ma'am?
I do. I think Bigfoot is real, and I was only recently convinced of it. I had a couple of guests on the show, Tim and Dana from the Bigfoot Influencers, and they really enlightened me to the world of Bigfoot and the type of research and study that's being done on this cryptid. The accounts and stories that I've heard, that I've come across, most of them are very, very compelling. You get these accounts and stories from all over the world. It's not an isolated thing. Every culture going back into history seems to have some concept of this big bipedal, hairy, ape-like creature. The science that they are doing, like with Dr. Jeff Meldrum, they talk about these dermal ridges, like the different features of the actual footprint that they're getting at, that would be very, very difficult to like hoax. It's so like precise, and they know now what to look for because it's repeated over and over again. And then the recordings that they've gotten of these sounds, these calls, the whistles, and they've studied these recordings and found that there is, like, people who are experts in language and how language works, they have found that there is actual like what you would find in any language, like that communication, the different levels, like the people who study whales, like you kind of know that they're conversing with each other. There's intelligence there. There's a back and forth. And they can also see that with these recordings of these Bigfoot calls. So I just find all of that very, very compelling. I say yes.
All right. Steve, what about you, man? He's already shaking his head yes.
Oh, he has been.
Oh, man.
That's the question.
Yes. I believe in Bigfoot for sure. My family on my mom's side is Native Americans, and like they've been telling stories of Sasquatches and Bigfoot for a long time, but we don't really dive into that stuff. We don't do cryptids or anything. But all I'm going to say is this, okay? We do live in Florida. And if the dude in the trailer down the street can cook meth and get away from the cops, then I think Bigfoot can run.
This
Okay.
is true.
Because the thing that bothers me is when people say, well, if he was real, they would know, they would have discovered him by now. But they discover new things all the time that they didn't know existed. Big things, small things, microscopic things. Things are getting discovered all the time. That whole trope about, we'd know he's here by now. That doesn't make any sense, because if Bigfoot is anywhere near as intelligent as people believe him to be, he's not just standing there waiting like, hey, come get me. He knows. And they've been around a lot longer, and they know where to go. They know what to do. They know how to stay out of sight. But yes, the only thing I really don't believe in are puckwudgies. So if we get to that, don't ask me.
Whoa.
I'm originally from Massachusetts. I used to hang out, in Massasoit State Park. I'm from the Bridgewater Triangle. That's where I was born. And let me tell you something, puckwudgies are stupid.
Ooh, and the debate begins.
It's deep. Here we go.
Do not believe in little troll men with canes walking through the woods. This isn't Middle Earth.
Oh my goodness. All right, Jordan, I already know what your answer is going to be, but I'm going to go ahead and jump to you anyway. Jordan, does Bigfoot exist?
10 years ago, if you would have asked me, it would have been a very hard no. A very hard no. But man, as I get older and I get, do I say less stupid? My more open-minded on things, and the stories that I've heard from folks. Kristen and I have had a lot of conversations about Bigfoot and aliens and things like that. Even where she lives, there's so much forest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Up in Washington State, you're in Bigfoot country there, right?
Oh yeah.
And just like Steven just said, like there's so much out there that we don't know about, and we're just now finding, right? But look at national parks, right? How many people just go missing in a blink of an eye in national parks and never found?
Yeah.
What else is there? Do you know? I mean, we don't know. There are cults that live in these parks, that have been found. Like, how did they exist there for so long without anybody seeing them? Right. There's so much and let's just say North America. There's so much in North America that is completely blind to us, and we don't know everything. Look at all the animals, that we have now that were once cryptids. Kangaroos, gorillas, all this stuff. They were considered cryptids. They just hadn't been found yet. So I think Bigfoot now, not only would I say is real, but I think the debate that I've heard lately about whether or not, we get into, is it a real animal, or, does it have a UFO connotation around with it? Is it a different dimensional being? I think these questions are a lot more fun to talk about, because I don't know if you know this, Damien, but there's a lot of Bigfoot sightings and UFO sightings that happen at the same time in the same areas.
Yeah, this is the topic of him being an interdimensional being, right? Where he kind of sips through space and time. That's why we can't find him.
But I guess standing agreement.
I mean, it's pretty neat.
Well, I guess I'm going to be the bigger skeptic of everybody, because I'm the type that I want to believe it, but until I see some kind of 100% viable proof, I'm just like, I don't know. I'm like, is it real? Is it not real? And that's going to lead me to my next question. If he does exist, why has there not been any kind of 100% legit viable proof? Especially nowadays when everybody has a cell phone on them. Like, you'd have to think at some point, all these people that claim they've seen him, one of those people would have to quickly react and snap a good non-blurry photograph. So that's kind of where I stand on it. So what do you think? Why do you think?
Can I answer this first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Damien, do you have kids?
I do.
Okay, so I have four. I have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old, and they had their end of school dance last night. And my 3-year-old was dancing her heart out. And I pulled my phone out and I tried for 20 minutes to take one picture.
Right.
Now, this was me at least in a controlled environment.
Right.
Where I was clear-headed. I just had my phone, just trying to take a picture that one wasn't blurry, showed a face, showed something other than like a finger. Like she was all over the place. Right. So if you are in the forest and this giant beast is coming at you, and you happen to be calm, cool, and collected enough to, while it's running at you, trying to eat your face, to say, hey, like, hold still real quick. Right? It just doesn't happen. But like, look at all the pictures too, like talk about UFOs, right? When you're seeing it, when you're in awe, when you're in that, space and experience, and you're looking, like, nobody's like, hey, grab a phone. Like, I've seen lights. I'm definitely not going to say they're UFOs because I don't know, but I've seen some lights out in the sky, and I just like will sit and stare at it. Like, what is that? What do you think it is? Like, there's no part of me. I've tried to take pictures of the moon before, and it looks like crap. So like, I know if I see a little light flying around, I'm not going to get a picture of it. Right. So like, I think we get caught up in the moment and the just being in that, do I say vibe? I don't know. I'm not with the lingo anymore. You guys know.
Well,
But,
it's definitely a vibe if you run into Bigfoot. I'm just
I just needed some clarification on that one. But like, if you're in that moment, like, I think the last thing you think about is, should I grab my phone? And if you do, the likelihood of getting something worth anything on a camera is slim.
Even if
you did, Damien, I'm just going to throw this out there too.
Uh-huh.
If somebody came with a picture right now and said, here's a picture of Bigfoot, bam, and showed it to you, would you believe it?
I don't know. That's just where I stand on it. Like, I want to believe it's real, but at the same time, like, I haven't seen it or heard it for myself. I guess that's kind of how I feel about it. So, Kristen, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think he's not disappearing into, wormholes or anything like that. I think he's far less. I know. I think he's far less paranormal than a lot of people like to think. But it's not every day for most people. In fact, it's not most of your days that you're going to find yourself running into any wild animal. I lived in Montana for almost 15 years. I saw a bear 3 times in 15 years, and I was out in the woods. Okay. So that's not going to happen often unless you are, hunting them or something like that, putting yourself in that position to constantly, have the chance to see it.
Right.
And on that note, we don't often find the bodies. I mean, it's rare that you're going to stumble across the body or the remains of like a dead cougar out in the wild. And you got to think, well, it's this vast expanse of wilderness. These populations of these animals are pretty small comparatively to like the human population. They're pretty small animal, and it's rare. I think that Bigfoot is intelligent, and I think their numbers they're far more rare than we are expecting or thinking that they should be.
Right.
And I think they've been able to survive this long at that smaller number because they are so intelligent. So yeah, they're out there, but small numbers, and I think they are doing something with the bodies. Possibly they're either burying their own or dispatching of them in other ways. So you're never going to find that body. I know, skeptics, you won't find it.
Right. All right. So, Steve, what about you?
I agree with both of them. I actually think that the small numbers are beneficial to their survival and staying out of the way. And Jordan, your story about you trying to take a picture of your kid was like spot on, because I'm in my 40s. If somebody's out there and I don't want to take a picture of me, nobody's got pictures of me unless I put myself where I wanted to have a picture taken. So I agree. If you're out in the middle of the woods and Bigfoot's out there, I don't even think he needs to be charging at you. I just think he needs to walk, and you will be so shocked. The first thing you think is going to be, I got to get out of here. He's going to kill me. But I have heard theories from people in podcasts and shows and stuff where they do believe they bury their own, like because they're so advanced for animals. I guess they're so intelligent that they're very close to how we live in some aspects. I mean, they're not buying houses and paying mortgages, but I have heard that there's a theory that they bury their dead. But if they've existed on this earth for, I don't know, as long as we have, maybe longer, who knows, I think they already know how to, stay out of sight of people. I think it's been their whole thing since the creation of everything. This is what they do. So it doesn't bother me that nobody has a clear shot or anything. of a Bigfoot, I will still believe it exists based solely on the fact that there are so many things that are constantly being discovered that we once considered to be cryptids, or we just had no knowledge of at all until it became, everyday knowledge. And I think eventually Bigfoot will be.
All right. Gil, what about you, dude?
Yeah. Kristen did it again. That was I literally had a bear written down. We humans only think that they're quiet in the woods. Humans are the loudest thing in the woods to every other thing that is in the woods. So there's that, like, immediately off the back. And like to piggyback on what Kristen was saying, right? Like only seeing bear in like 15 years. There's a cadence and there's a pulse in the woods if you spend enough time there. And it's super easy to tell when something's wrong or when something's off. And humans suck at being discreet. We also stink to high hell, right? So there's that. I think a lot of times it's just, they can literally see, smell, hear us coming from a mile away, and they're just like, I'm going to go over there. And they leave. And in terms of bodies, again, with bears, it almost never happens that somebody comes across a bear that naturally died. It's so rare to find just a dead bear in the woods. Like hunters never come across them basically unless they shot them. So we have one example there, and then there's the reality of the fact that if Bigfoot is real, it is obviously the apex predator. Right? Nothing is going after it. Nothing is messing with it. And so, frankly, like when it dies on its terms. Right? It's not just, like, whoa, and like falls down the side of a mountain and like it dies. It's not being attacked by a gang of chipmunks. It's not, like any number of terrible things that might happen in the woods, right? So if it's going through life, getting to old age, or at least conscious enough that it's like my health is declining, it's time for me to go, right? And if we are viewing it as something as a species that is close to or above or at par with like human intelligence, then they're going to have their own rituals, they're going to have their own process, they're going to have their own culture where they're like, well, this is where I go and I die. So it, if anything, I admire Bigfoot just in the fact that I'm like, yeah, you should stay away from humans. Like, you've done a great job.
Right.
Yeah. So they've been staying away from us. So I think they're pretty smart. Yeah. I think I'm also expecting someday to just come home from work and like on CNN there to be like, we caught Bigfoot, and there's like one in a cage on the news. I'm always like half hoping that that's going to happen / scared if that happens.
All right, so Megan, what about you? What do you think about that?
I don't actually think I could add anything. I think everybody pretty much covered every aspect of
All right.
Seeing Bigfoot. I think that like the small population of Bigfoot, there's a very small population of people who are doing the scientific research and, keeping up on the different changes and the things that they see and the things that Bigfoot leaves behind and the things that are constantly being found. I think that is a very small culture of people as well. So I don't think that there's this vast knowledge of Bigfoot stuff around. So just like the Bigfoot is a very elusive, that the science behind it is also very elusive.
All right. I may have to do a little bit more diving and digging about this, because I have a really good friend of mine. He's like, man, you need to do some research about this. He's like, because it's out there. And he's like, and get a Bigfoot expert on your show. He's like, I think it would do wonders for you. And I'm like, well, maybe I'll do something like that for season 3. So Gil.
Yes.
Aliens. Are they really out there? And explain your answer.
Yeah. I think it would be complete insanity to be where we're at in our knowledge of just how vast and how expansive the universe is, and to really think that we're the only like sentient, intelligent life that's out there. that is insane to me. Like that is folks in Europe saying there's nothing if you sail west, right? Like that is the exact same mentality. And yeah, I guess other than, just the tens of thousands of years of history of people saying we come from the stars and yada, 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 all that, ignoring all the history. I like to use the metaphor a lot of times. So when we hear these really crazy encounters or stories and folks try to explain what they witnessed, what they saw, aliens literally walking through walls, right? Or having these sounds and these emotions like put into their head, right? I like to say like, well, let's go back to the 1800s, New York City, Manhattan, and drop a Lamborghini on the street. Right? Would anybody be able to do literally anything with that? Right? And that's only 200 years.
Right.
Okay. So just picture if there was a planet exactly like Earth, way, way, way the hell out there. Right. But they started their evolutionary process, or it started its evolutionary process 100 years before us. 200 years before us. Literally, I'm not saying tens of thousands or anything, just literally like 100 years. It's not much. And if you go back 100 years and hand somebody an iPhone, they're also going to be confused. They're also going to be baffled by it. And every single day we're making these massive breakthroughs. I think that we are a lot closer to the sci-fi-esque critiques that we have of people that say they saw things. We're a lot closer to that technology than we like to believe at every single moment in time. And again, it's a numbers game. It just, like, that is insane to me. If this is the only place where that happened, that life formed, that is nuts. And then you have the question of, did it happen 100 years sooner? I don't think those are big jumps.
Right. All right. So Steve, what about you, man? What do you think?
I believe in aliens. I mean, we're getting kind of far away from the stuff that we cover, but
Hey, it's considered paranormal, though.
I know. I agree with what he said, though. Like, it's hard to think that we would be the only thing in this entire universe. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. You couldn't go on any landmass and be that far away from some kind of civilization. I think we're probably closer to like a Bigfoot than we are an alien. Personally, I think they're pretty advanced. I think finding, wall pictures of aliens years and years before, modern times, and just everything. I think the collective is there's just no way. There's no possible way there couldn't be something out there. There's too much out there for us to believe that there just isn't. I just couldn't imagine.
All right, Megan, how do you feel? Do you feel the same way?
I do. Yeah. I think there's just this vast amount of space and time that surrounds just the planet Earth. And for there not to be other things out there, whether it's aliens or, space cryptids or anything, no one really knows. So if, we find cryptids on Earth, what's to say is out there in the advanced space, in the universe.
Please make a shirt that just says space cryptids on it, because I absolutely love that. I am in love with that. That is awesome.
But yes, I agree.
Kristen, what do you think?
You know what? I cannot disagree with anything that Gil, Steve, or Megan has said. I don't have much to add to that. I am of the belief that yes, it is all real. If you would have asked me just a couple of months ago, I would have said, yes, UFOs and saucers. I don't know what it is, but yes, aliens. I got to look at it. But as you know, I'm focused on it this season. So just everything that I keep coming across, it's every single subject that I run up against where I might be on the fence about it. I learn things that just open my eyes and open my mind to the possibility. And especially with a subject like aliens and just the study of that, anything extraterrestrial, I really look to things like the government involvement in something like this. It is so widespread, and it's like, story after story after account after account. Why don't you want anybody to know about this? Why don't you want them to see the ship? Why don't you, are you hiding bodies? What is going on? And then I also look to the scientific inquiry, and countless scientists, countless very logical, grounded people devoting their time and devoting their life and their energy into the subject because they were compelled. So if they are, I totally am down. Yes.
All right. Jordan, what do you think, dude?
Oh yeah. I love everything y'all said so far. 100% Gil. Not only do I believe you, but I also want the Space Cryptid shirt. If you
Yeah.
if y'all put that together.
2 orders going
Yeah.
on.
I
This
love
needs
that.
to happen.
Man. No, that's really cool. But yeah, the universe is so big. It is insane to think that we are the only things out there, right? Hats off to Kristen. Her series or her season is all about UFOs and aliens. This season, which is really nice. I'm loving listening to it. I think a fun debate now, with the alien thing that folks are talking about. Like, I think it's understandable that they're out there. Like, everybody understands that they're out there, right? I've heard some really cool theories about that they're here, like UFOs and things like that, or all the sightings that we're seeing are actually coming from Earth. They're coming out of the water. They're going into land masses. I had a really cool show with Barry Fitzgerald. I'm not sure if you know who he is. He was with that Ghost Hunters International. But he is doing a lot of studying right now on UFOs and the whole phenomena, that goes along with it, and really, really cool theories that he has, based around it. I also heard a really cool one. I don't know if anybody's into like the Greek gods and things like that all tie into, could they be aliens? That just came to Earth and just were worshipped and things like. I think it's really neat, but yeah, totally on board with the UFOs and aliens.
Well, I'm more of an alien believer than I am a Bigfoot believer. So I'm with all of you guys. There's no way that in this entire universe we're the only living creatures out there. Now, whether they're little green men or something that looks exactly like us, I don't know that. So, but I believe more in aliens than I do in Bigfoot. And so, and Kristen, you actually kind of touched on my next question about the government officials. Say aliens do exist. 100% we know they exist. We've seen proof. And people think the government is covering up their existence. Why do you think they're doing that? Kristen, we'll start with you. Control. Okay.
Control. What? Absolutely. If people realize there's so many aspects to the control, I think, like if this is the conspiracy, we want to go there. I think that once you lose, let me back up. So they would literally, if it came, if it came out tomorrow that, hey, Roswell was real, aliens are real, UFOs, they've always been there, you're not crazy, there's no kooks out there, we were lying, boy, would they be in a lot of trouble. They would be in a lot of trouble. But yeah, I think they've kept it this way, so covert and under wraps for so long. Fear, mass hysteria, people not solely relying on them, on the government, on the powers that be. Because if you knew that aliens were real 100% tomorrow, like how much of that faith that you put in your government and the system right now would you take back? Like, would you still be able to carry on with your day and go to work and be a productive citizen just like normal? No, everything would change, everything, and they would lose that control.
All right,
that's what it comes down to.
All right, Jordan, what do you think?
Oh, it's definitely control. I used to think that one day we would have full disclosure, and then everybody went nuts over toilet paper when COVID happened. And I realized like we're not ready for anything real. like if toilet paper is the thing that's bringing us down, if they said, hey, by the way, aliens are here. A side note to that, like that's kind of being funny, but I think here lately, I think there's been enough sightings of UFOs that people, it's hard for them to refuse. And that's why we have so many Senate hearings and things like that now, because, you know, it's coming from reputable people. You know, it's not like me and Kristen going up to the government and saying, hey, you know, we saw a UFO, right? It's, you know, not Damon beating the door down like I got abducted last night, right? These are
Right.
these are like military pilots, like, hey, we saw something and needing to be debriefed. We have astronauts that are coming out and saying they've seen something. So, and they're vocal about it publicly. So there's been more and more of that happening, and I think that's what's causing these debates in the Senate now. And hopefully, I mean, will they ever really agree to it? You know, well, it's something, we'll figure it out, you know, but you know, maybe one day we will actually hear what's going on.
Right. All right, Gil, what do you think, man?
I'm overwhelmed with what I should respond with first. All right, so shortly after the end of World War II, just at the start of the Cold War, the U.S. government launched Project Sign, right? So we had Project Sign, then Project Grudge, then we had Project Blue Book, which people remember. They launched Project Sign because of how many sightings people were starting to have. The U.S. was building or pointing its pre-existing propaganda machine towards looking out for the Reds, right? So like, keep your eyes in the skies. Like, people were forming little community groups where they would just go out and they would keep an eye out and they would call into the Air Force Base if they saw anything. These were all over the country. Well, what started to happen was they got too many sightings. They had too many calls. They literally, there would be it was mass hysteria. Again, I'm stumbling over my words because I'm like, where the hell do I go? I've read so many FOIA, like CIA documents, like on this time period. But yeah, the Air Force bases were getting overwhelmed with calls when there would be sightings, right? Because people were intentionally looking up. Everybody in town would call, and we got to remember that this was back in the day when everything was landlines. So phones could literally jam. Right? Like, nobody could get in, nobody could contact the base. And that goes for other branches of the military trying to contact an Air Force base. That's a huge issue if the Russians actually were going to attack, right? So they eventually concluded that, well, we can't have this happening. We don't know what this is. Actually, Sign just straight up said, we think that they're aliens. They had all this math and everything behind it, but ignore that. That we think that they're aliens. We're certain that they're visiting from other planets, yada, yada, yada. Well, they basically fired all those folks and spread them all around. And then they started Project Grudge, which has, the name gives it away a little bit. Grudge, the whole point of Grudge was to get the public to think that anybody that saw UFOs was a quack, or they were drunk, or whatever. They wanted to discredit and disarm people's interest in it, because there was a period of time with mass interest in it. And it was strictly, at first, strictly out of national security reasons. You know, they straight up say, we don't know if the Russians would fake a UFO in order to jam our lines to then actually attack us, or if they could use this as a cover to attack us. This is said over and over and over again.
Right.
Yeah, and then shit just spirals off from there. But this is a long-standing tradition within the U.S. government. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, there is so much history and thousands of pages where you can just read line by line of them saying, yep, this shit's real. And then somebody else is responding, well, we can't have that. Let's get, who is it, Philip Klass, like, on this to start debunking them. Like, it goes on and on. But, yeah, it is orchestrated. There is a conspiracy. But I also do believe that they stopped looking into this, and I'm sorry I'm going on forever. This is my big love right here. I think what happened, honestly, was the government faced something that they were just like, what the fuck? Like,
Right.
They couldn't understand it. They couldn't comprehend it. They had no way to manage it or deal with it. It was outside of their control. And so they started to focus on what was within their control, which is other human beings. And until they feel like they have an ace in the hole, they're not going to say shit. That's honestly what I feel.
All right.
Yeah.
Gil,
Steve-
I loved every second of that. You are so well versed. I love it.
Okay, so Steve, Megan, what about you guys? What do you think?
I mean, I think for me at least, like we don't really talk about this, but I think everybody else kind of said it. It's between control and people can't handle it. And I mean, there's nothing really here that anybody said that I would disagree with at all.
Yeah.
And the only other thing I'd add is like, could there have been like a deal for some kind of like, because where was all this technology coming out long ago? So maybe it was in their best interest to collectively keep this, technology and feed it out to us. But other than that, yeah, I think I would just believe it's control, and we probably all cannot know about it at the same time, or we will die.
I definitely have not read any CIA documents or
No.
such things.
We're from Florida.
To
CIA.gov/, I think it's just FOIA, but you can go to their website. Go to their website. Go to the CIA's website, everybody.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
But yeah, sorry. Sorry.
But yeah, I definitely think it's more leaning towards mass hysteria, things like that, because like the toilet paper thing, like people lost their minds. Everyone would just, it would be pure and absolute panic.
Where do you think all that toilet paper went?
I don't know. Are they still using?
People are wiping like madmen right now.
All right. So, of the three things we've talked about, ghosts, Bigfoot, and aliens, of those three, which one do you feel 100% without question exists, and why? Jordan, we'll start with you.
Like 100%. Like you can only pick one?
Only pick one.
It's the hill you'll die on.
Oh man. Jesus, Damien. I believe in them all. I mean, I started out as a ghost hunter, right? So that's where I cut my teeth. So I'll say, but see then, because like, what are ghosts, right? Because every single one of us had a different idea of what that is. Is that real? Is that something? Yes, something's there. What if it's all one phenomena? What if it's all connected?
You never know.
No, I 100% believe in that.
Well, there you go.
Does that work? Does that
Did he answer it?
I want to hear Gil. I've agreed with most of what Gil said. What's go ahead.
So, yeah, what's your thought process, Gil?
I mean, obviously, it's beyond debate. The numbers are in. The proof is there. The government's admitting to it. It's pugwudgies.
Oh,
Pugwudgies are number one. Because sometimes Bigfoot are short. That's all I'm going to say. So,
and they have canes.
They have canes.
I partied in
They have,
Mount.
those Bigfoot have dwarfism. It's a medical condition, and you need to stop calling them pugwudgies. It's very rude.
I should be ashamed.
100% aliens. Like and that's not to say that I believe every claim about aliens, right? Or any understanding of their motivations, but do they exist? Yeah, I think that's pretty 100% safe to say. Unless this is all some fucked up version of The Sixth Sense and actually we're dead. All of us are dead, and all of our interactions with all this other shit is stuff that's alive. Which could be fun to think about. But actually, no, that's my new belief. So there's your answer.
Stephen, Megan, what about you guys? Of the three, what do you think exists? Actually, 100% exist.
You can go first.
I have had ghostly encounters and ghostly experiences since I was about 8 years old, and I have had to be talked into and learn things about Bigfoot and aliens to be on board with those things. So I'm definitely going to have to go with the paranormal for myself, just because I've always known, because I have always had those experiences with spirits and things like that. So I think that's my take on that.
I'm going to say the same. The more of the spirit side of paranormal. I believe in all of them, but if I have to go on things that I believe that I've seen firsthand, I believe in aliens. I can't ever say I've seen something firsthand. I also very much believe in Bigfoot. Also cannot say that I've seen him firsthand, but I've had, spirit paranormal experiences myself, or what I believe them to be. So that's the one I would have to go with.
Kristen, what about you?
This is such an unfair question, Damien.
It is. It is.
Can we just say all of them?
I know. You know what? I'm with Jordan there. Like, I can't just pick one. Like, even if I had to rank them, it's so difficult. You're forcing my hand here. No, you know what? We're in a simulation. I believe that. I believe that so much right now because I do think it's all connected, baby. These are all just characters and NIP or whatever they're called. But forcing my hand here, if I had to say one thing, it's going to have to be the ghosts, the paranormal ghosts, because life after death, talk of the afterlife, theories of consciousness existing beyond death, that is where my heart lies. That is my passion. I love to talk about that, and I do believe that is 100% real.
All right. Now, can anybody guess my answer?
I think I know.
Yeah, I think it's
It's the only thing we've really talked about. So
obviously it's Bigfoot. You know?
Obviously, it's Puckwudgie.
oh, stop.
Believes in life after love.
It's space cryptids.
We're not allowed to say
Space cryptids.
Still my favorite.
All right. Now I've only got a couple more questions before we wrap this up. This next one's just kind of a silly question, and I just wanted to do something kind of fun to kind of wrap things up. Now, I don't know how many of you know that my absolute favorite film of all time is Ghostbusters. Does anybody know
I
that?
could see that.
Okay.
I could see that.
I mean, I know the movie. Yes.
So, like I said, it's my absolute favorite film of all time. So, obviously, in that movie, they capture and contain spirits. Do you think that will ever come to fruition? And why would you think that? Yes or no?
Spirit boxes?
No, he means.
No,
have
like
you seen those?
In the like ecto box, plasma box? What's it
Like
called?
where
No,
they-
no. I
Never
know,
mind.
but spirit boxes are already a thing.
No, I'm talking more like
That-
along the line of how they do it in Ghostbusters.
Just like straight up like grabbing one out of the air with a USB, just like
More or less, yep.
Damn.
Because look at the technology that we have. It's like, how could you not? I'm not saying that it would ever happen, but it's one of those things that how do we know it couldn't happen?
I mean, anything can happen, Damien.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
Anything. I could wake up and be 6 foot tall tomorrow, but it's probably not going to happen. Oh. Should I? I'll just keep talking. I'm already talking. That's what I do. I could see at some point in time possibly happening, but I don't think it's going to be as cut and dry as like how you just trap a person. I don't know. I think that's going to be one of them weird things that's going to have to happen over time. And if it happens, it happens. But I wouldn't know where they would. I know people have made claims that they have these because I watched something one time.
Oh my God. I know.
And they tried to sell it, but it was just ridiculous. But who knows? I mean, with technology advancement and stuff, who knows what's going to be possible? But can't we just let them be free?
I want to believe that, ghosts and spirits, whether they may be, just a repetitive thing or they are intelligent but they are still their own entity and their own being. And we just kind of need to let them be. Like, you can go talk to them. That's fine.
How mad
Cool.
would you be if
Like-
you died and somebody trapped you inside of a little box?
I would be so mad. So mad.
I finally get free roam. I can go watch you take a shower and stuff. I'm not getting trapped.
Kristen, what do you think?
Well, I think you could be attached to or want to stay around a physical box. I don't think limitless energetic vibrational being could be entrapped inside of a physical thing, because I just don't think I'm theorizing, but I don't think it works that way. That being said, you jogged a memory for me. I remember this guest on Art Bell years and years ago.
Yes.
Do you remember this?
Yes.
Were
The
you gonna
little
talk
bug
about it?
things.
Yeah.
Yes. God damn it. Yes.
I was like, oh my gosh, I can't
Please
remember
keep
how
going.
he said. No, I can't remember the whole thing, but it reminded me. I was like, this guy was like talking about. He was like talking to Art on the phone, and like he was like, yeah, he's like in the back, got him in the back, and it was like in his ghost box. Like, I don't know. He was keeping that poor ghost back there. I don't know whatever happened. So you go, gal. You tell us.
Somebody, it was an old Coast to Coast episode with Art Bell. I think I listened to it like 4 weeks ago. Somebody claimed to have trapped a spirit in a room in their house with like, do you know those I don't know, you see really cheap ads for them like all over the place, but those things that you plug into the wall and they're supposed to keep cockroaches and like rats and like every other type of bug away. So like, why do you spend money on, pest control? It's through some series of events, this guy basically ended up, according to him, trapping a ghost in a room with those wall bug
Yeah, hi, baby. I see you.
and so there is a 3-hour episode out there of Coast to Coast where they're just like, well, how are you going to transport it? They're like, how do you unplug it? Can you open your door? Are you just not using a room in your house now? Like, and he's like, oh, that's what it was. He sent a cat in there. He started sending his pets into the room to see what would happen. It was like a really pissed ghost that was in the room. So
that's crazy.
We already have the technology, Damien. That's what I'm trying to say.
Bug zappers. Who knew?
Right. And I don't know if anybody's seen the little guest appearance there. That was our newly adopted dog, Mio. So
I saw.
she decided to come in and make her first appearance. So, Jordan, what's your thoughts on that, man?
Oh, well, I mean, how can you beat that? Okay, so let's say that spirits have an energy, right? Energy can't be created or destroyed, just change form, right? So, I mean, could we find out, like we as a collective, not we as an us, could we find out what type of energy or what frequency that energy is and change its form to something else? And trap that? I maybe science.
Science,
baby. Science, yes.
I wanted to, since I pretty much just quoted Art Bell, or tried to, the episode, I did want to throw out there that almost every culture that believes in some form of an afterlife, right, has some process, some belief, something wrapped up around possessions, right, around hauntings, and around cursed objects, right? And so, again, going back to like spirit boxes and stuff, I think the technology is already there, right? Like I think it's already been figured out a million times in a million different ways. Whether or not, it's kind of like every official like Catholic church has a piece of a saint, sitting in it. Maybe it's some system like that. Maybe we need to get a little piece of wood from this whole shebang over here and put it in a nice little fancy, iPossession box by Apple and like throw it out there and grab the spirit, but it still needs to have whatever type of spiritual charge to it to do it. But I feel like we already got a system down.
Isn't there something? Is it the Dybbuk box?
Yeah,
Dybbuk box.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
You could trap a demon in a box or something. Jewish.
Wasn't the original Dybbuk box thing only supposed to be like 12 or 13 specific boxes, and now it turned out that there's like 350,000 of them for sale on eBay?
Yes.
Being mass
Well, I mean, if you're
produced,
going to put something on eBay, it might as well be that.
Right.
I mean,
One
what
of
else?
13 that a million people have.
When I buy demons, I always go to eBay. Where do you guys go?
I love when they sell the haunted dolls and it's just like a regular doll with like gray paint on its face. And it's
Yeah.
haunted.
Let me ask something. Like, do you guys believe that spirits become attached to items?
I do.
100%.
So wouldn't that be kind of like almost like your ghost trap right there is just to possess that item?
You'd have to keep it on that item though.
We buy so much stuff from the thrift stores. I'm always afraid that somebody's going to come back when I buy that Van Halen record or something. Like
Right.
Antique stores have to be the most dangerous places spiritually you could possibly get.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. So, final question. This isn't really like a debatable question. It's just kind of, this one is for fun. And I actually kind of stole it from Kristen when I was on her show a while back, but I've twisted it a little bit. So, you're a ghost. Who do you haunt in your personal life, and what celebrity would you haunt? Kristen, since this is kind of your thing, we're going to go with you first.
Do I hunt in my personal life, and which celebrity do I hunt?
Right.
Okay. Uh, if I'm hunting to like teach a lesson or to scare somebody, I would haunt my ex-boss at the feed store in New Orleans because he was the worst, just the worst. He needs to apologize. Haunting a celebrity, I wouldn't try to be scary about it, but like Pedro Pascal is my jam right now, and I would be around him like 24/7, be like, hey, yeah, I'm just gonna sit here, I'll be quiet, I won't do anything, I'm just gonna sit here.
Right.
That's my answer.
All right, Megan, what about you?
Well, I think we throughout this show right here have answered that question for who Stephen and I would haunt each other in personal lives.
For sure.
And for celebrity, I don't know. Maybe I'd have to say Bradley Cooper.
Oh man.
Just because that's my reasoning. Just because.
What about you, Steve?
I mean, I've already said it once earlier. I'm haunting her. I don't know that I'm actually gonna leave. I might haunt my kids too, just so I can yell at them and they, because it would be fun to watch them get scared. As far as celebrities, I don't think I would, honestly. I would probably be the kind of ghost that I haunt my family all the time. That's it. I don't have a celebrity. You know what? I'll go check out Scarlett Johansson, take a shower too. Yeah. We'll do that. Yeah.
All right.
It's a legit.
That's a legit.
All right, Gil, what about you, dude?
I don't know who I would haunt, like, personally, but celebrity, right? And I'm not just trying to dodge the question. I guess on both ends. I would haunt Snoop Dogg.
Oh.
Because he's just going around the world just doing shit, having a great time, and, like, no one would believe him. No one would believe him.
Gil, if you die, I'm getting a Ouija board and you got to tell me if there's something going on between him and Martha.
Oh, goodness.
Gil's got to spill the secrets.
He does. All right, so Jordan, what about you, dude?
Personal life would be my wife because I'd want to be there, wife and kids.
Right.
Celebrity, Jessica Biel.
Oh, I like that too.
Bam.
That's a good one, too.
Just for science.
For the science.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate you guys coming on to join our season finale here on Life Beyond 6 Feet. It was fun. It was very informative. You've kind of opened my eyes a little bit on Bigfoot. Not enough. not enough to say I'm 100% believer, but it has got the wheels turning up in the old brain. So, all right, everybody. I want to thank Kristen Amanda from the Paranorm Girl Podcast, Mr. Jordan Cline from the Fireside Paranormal Podcast. Somebody's knocking on my door. Mr. Gill from the Black Cat Reports, and Steve and Megan from For the Booze Podcast. Thank each and every one of you guys. Everybody go check out their podcast if you haven't already. Give them all the follow, show them love, because they're all amazing, great people. They have great, amazing podcasts, and I've been on their shows, and now they've all been on mine. So we got a big group of podcast friends going here, guys. So again, this was season 2 finale. Stick around for season 3 because I've already got quite a few interesting guests lined up. So just stay tuned for that. And season 3 is just around the corner, maybe about a month away. So it's not going to be long. So again, thank every one of you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Damien.
Thank you, Damien.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Congratulations on season 2, by the way.
Yeah. I'm going to go look at pictures of Jessica Biel now. I'll be back.
Oh, that's good stuff.
For the science.
It's definitely for science. I need to know how are we still recording?
I mean, it's it's a
new intro, season 3. Right. I'm gonna go look at Jessica Biel.
Oh goodness!
Still recording.
It's still recording.
It's
Yeah, I see that now. It says it on my screen.
Hey, I don't cut nothing out, so it'll be a fun way to end the season.
Why I stopped talking.
All right, guys. Well, again, thank you all so much, and we'll catch everybody next time. See you all in season 3.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, see
See
ya.
ya.
Bye.